Happy Halloween, if you are so inclined. So it's October 31st, and it is 2018. And look, I did my YouTube Live, which is supposed to be at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays, at 2 o'clock. So I'm pretty impressed with myself today. I had a ton of work I wanted to do over the weekend, and instead I blew it all off and I went to SAFF. Now that is the Southeastern Animal and Fiber Festival. It is in Fletcher, North Carolina. It is near Asheville. A lot of people know where Asheville is. So it was a long drive, but here's what I did. I went on Facebook on Friday night and said, I don't know, you guys, should I go? And of course everybody told me yes, I should go. So one way to get the answer that you want is to ask in the right place. So since it's mostly Yarny folks that follow me on Facebook, then of course everybody said, of course you should go to SAFF. Hi, Kim. Yes, I did have a good time. That's what we're going to talk about today. So my friends from Bead Biz had an extra bed in their Airbnb and very graciously allowed me to stay over. So I drove out there Saturday morning and I stayed over till Sunday. And then I drove back Sunday late afternoon. Now, it's a heck of a drive. It's almost 6 hours from here by the time you stop for gas and whatnot. But it was totally worth it. I had a wonderful time. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the show, but are familiar with the larger shows like Maryland Sheep and Wool or New York Sheep and Wool in Rhinebeck, it is not nearly that big. But it is beautifully curated. As you know, I'm a fan of that, and there's some really great vendors there, and it was definitely worth going. The other thing is it is close enough to Asheville, which is sort of like hipster paradise. My gosh, there are tons of places to eat and tons of excellent food choices. Even though we were in Fletcher and not Asheville proper, there were wonderful places to go. So a lot of the vendor friends of mine went out Saturday night. We went to White Duck Taco. No affiliates in this post, by the way, just things we did and things I enjoyed. It's something like 20 different tacos with all different flavors. So my friends swear by the crispy pork belly with pickled watermelon rind, so I got one of those. And I know this is heresy. I did enjoy it, but my favorite one was, I think it was called Bangkok Shrimp, but it was a crispy shrimp with some kind of pickled cucumber and Thai peanut sauce, and I don't know what all was in there, and boy, it was good. So I enjoyed the crispy pork belly. I want to hang on to my friends, but I was not quite as obsessive about it as they are, but it was delicious. So a whole herd of us went there on Saturday night, so that was a lot of fun. And the other amazing thing I ate, now if you follow me on Instagram, which I wish you would, it's Hooked #4 Life LLC. There is a photo of pie. So there's this place, again, everybody was talking about this pie place, and I didn't go there Saturday night because I was tired from the drive and the tacos and the crazy. So when I left, my plan was to leave there Sunday at 11 a.m. and that didn't work. So it was probably about 1:15. But yes, Kim, I brought yarn back. Give me a minute. I stopped at the pie place on the way out. So it's called Baked. They have this thing called a pie flight, and it's supposed to be 3 slivers of pie and a scoop of ice cream. Well, it's half a damn pie. So I just finished it this morning, but that was pretty awesome. And apparently none of you care about my friends or my delicious food, so let's talk about yarn. Lest you think that I took all the money that you kindly donated to my GoFundMe and spent it on yarn. I did not. This is all work related, so it doesn't count. So this yarn is from Haute Bohème, or Haute, I don't have a French accent. So I think it's Haute Bohème. Anyway, this is Melody Martinez's company, and I met her a couple of years ago at CGOA, the Crochet Guild of America show. And she was able to get into SAFF at the last minute. So I found out at the very last minute that I was going to get to see her, which is awesome. One of the things that she does that I enjoy about her yarn is that she dyes them in specific color palettes. So everything can go with anything else within a palette. So she calls them 70s, 80s, 90s, and 1000s, but each is a different visual look. But when you're trying, one of the things that happens to me with indie dyers, sometimes I can't tell which yarn is going to go with which yarn nicely. So since she dyes in color families, everything in the same family plays nicely together. So I really thought that was very clever, and I enjoyed that. Also, she has some mini skeins. Everybody has mini skeins, but she has mini skeins that coordinate with the big skeins. And again, and I'm not just talking about indie dyers. Some of the commercial places are like that too. It's like, if I want this semi-solid and I want this variegate, can I put them together? And they're very frequently, and the answer is, well, I'm not really sure. Why don't you look? So the fact that Melody dyes in palettes, I think, is pretty clever. Anyway, these two are the ones I picked up. Now, there was a granny square cowl that I did for Hochanda last year, and I had made it out of Zen Yarn Garden yarn, but they don't, we had minis on the TV show, but they don't usually do minis in the natural, which I had used. So I'm going to have this remade up. It's called the Concentric Cal. That's going to be a free pattern on the blog, but don't ask me when. It's going out to a stitcher, and when she has time to do it, she'll give it back, and we'll put that on the blog. So that was my first joy. What else? I know my nose is right up the camera, and I'm sorry. What else did I get? This is from Fiber Seed. And those of you who follow my work know that I use Fiber Seed whenever I can. But it occurred to us this weekend, oh, this is their Sprout DK in 2 different colors. Now, one of the things that we noticed this weekend when we were chitty-chatting was that everything I have in their booth is knit, which is weird because I'm mostly a crocheter. So this is going to be a crochet pattern. Don't ask me what it's going to be because I don't know. But it will eventually be a crochet pattern of some sort, and this will likely be a paid pattern. But we also noticed that everything I do for them is teal, but evidently I can't get away from it. That is one of my favorite colors. So that's going to be coming up. Again, who knows when, but that will definitely be a paid pattern. The next thing I got, this is Zigzag from Interlacements. Now, I was falsely under the assumption, I didn't know that Interlacements was still around because I used to see them at TNNA, and I hadn't for a while, but it just means they cut back on their wholesale. They're still doing retail shows. Anyway, it was lovely to see Tracy. I hadn't seen her in several years. So I did a pattern that was in I Like Knitting magazine some time back, and it's called the Rose Trellis Shawl. You can look that up on Ravelry if you want to see what the shawl looks like. Now, it was in zigzag, and I used 2 skeins. This is a huge skein. It's got 500 yards or so on it. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to make the shawl slightly smaller so it can be a 1 skein project. Now, it's still a lot of yardage, but that way Tracy can kit it up and sell it at the shows. So this will also be a paid pattern. It's the Rose Trellis Shawl. Again, originally it was in a pale pink. I'm hoping it has 2 different lace patterns in it, and the patterns are broken up by garter stitch sections. So one of the lace patterns looks like little tiny roses, and one of the patterns looks like the trellis, which is why it's called the Rose Trellis Shawl. Also, it was pink. Also, you know, I hate naming patterns. I run out of ideas. So it will still be called the Rose Trellis Shawl, but we're going to do it in this darker color. And you can see it has some blues and some greens and some purples. And what I'm hoping is in the darker color we can get a little more visual pop from the lace. So that will be coming up. Again, that will be a paid pattern, and it will get done when it gets done. But people wanted to say, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I tripped on the cord. Can't take me anywhere. Another thing that I got, this is the last yarn that I got. This is from White Birch. There is no way this camera is going to do this justice. This is a gradient. It has 980 yards. It is 50% baby camel and 50% silk. And this is going to be a new pattern, also a paid pattern. This is going to be a crocheted shawl of some flavor, and it is going to have beads on it. Let's see if I can reach the beads without knocking the camera again like an idiot. I'm going to use these, this is copper lined clear. So I'm going to use these copper beads on this yarn. So I don't know what this is going to be. one of the things that's always interesting to me at these shows, and you know we have this conversation all the time, is who has crochet and who doesn't. White Birch has some crochet in there, but it's mostly traditional styles. There were some center down, top down, center out triangle shawls. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but it's not the most modern interpretation. If you want to see any of the White Birch yarns, and again, this is not an affiliate, nobody's paying me anything, oh my gosh, I've been in love with her yarns since I saw them for the first time at the Dallas Fort Worth Fiber Festival a few years back. And this is the first time that I get to work with them, and I'm really deliriously happy about this. Her eye for color is staggering. And she has these little kits with like 18 skein minis, and the gradation will take 20 different colors. It's really just unbelievable stuff. Now, I believe she sells on Etsy, but I also believe that the Etsy shop is not open right now because it's show season. But that's Lisa from White Birch, and first time using that yarn. Can't wait to get my hands into it, but I'm making myself finish some other stuff first. Sensible Shawl did come out. That pattern is available. I know some of you have already bought it, so thank you for that. And I shipped that off to the yarn company. It's Yakagani yarns, so when they do shows, they'll have the sample with them. But I did wear it all weekend at SAFF. It's a little colder in the mountains than it is here at the beach, and I don't know where my winter coat is, so I wrapped up in that shawl and got a great kick out of it. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you, this is just a silly, but this is the story that will not die. Let's see. So these are buttons, and they have monkeys on them. Now, this is why I have these monkey buttons. When I was flying home from Dallas Fort Worth Fiber Festival, where I taught this year, there were monkeys on my plane. Somebody had emotional support monkeys. And I was tired, and I was in the middle of the seat, and I was not having these monkeys because they're making noise, and I'm just not happy. So, you know, it's a first world problem. So I'm whining via text to my daughter, who again is now 22 and has her mother's rotten mouth and sense of humor, and I'm making snakes on a plane jokes. So if any of you have seen Snakes on a Plane, the unedited version, it is full of some rough language. So I am making jokes and dropping F-bombs about these stupid monkeys and how annoyed I am by the monkeys. It turns out that I was not texting my daughter, who would have found this hilarious. I was texting somebody from the Dallas Fort Worth Fiber Festival Board of Directors. Now, I apologize wholeheartedly for dropping F-bombs, but the reason I didn't know right away that it wasn't Katie was because this woman was, texting me, well, what do they look like? What are they doing there? Do you have a picture? I want to see a picture. Are they literal monkey? Like, she's interacting with me like Katie would have. So by the time I realized that this was not my Katie, I was horrified because I had dropped all this rough language, but she took it in very good spirit. So a lot of the ladies that are on the board at DFW Fiberfest were there at SAFF. They had flown in to enjoy the festival, but they also very graciously did some volunteering to help the festival run. They were helping out in the classrooms, etc., etc. So the woman that I had dropped the F-bombs to was there. So she texted me right before I left the event and said, I've got to find you. Where are you? I'm like, I'm in the bead biz booth. She's like, don't go, don't go. So she came over and she put these monkey buttons in my hand. So evidently she saw them at another vendor and she bought them because she thought of me and just figured I couldn't live the rest of my life without monkey buttons. So the monkey story is the story that will not die. And I am not mocking people that need emotional support animals. It really just was a funny bit of, here I am whining about the chirpy monkeys, and it just went on and on. However, the one advantage to all of this is when I learned that one can drink for free in Comfort Plus on Delta. So it all worked out in the end. Anyway, I'm going to head over to Facebook and do a little bit of live chat there. Thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe to the channel here at Hooked for Life with Mary Beth Temple. I will have some more goodies to show you next Wednesday. So I'll see you next Wednesday at 2 o'clock. And now I will give you your obligatory beach picture if I can figure out how to turn the camera. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much for dropping by. Bye. Let's see. There it is. Obligatory ocean. All right, you guys, I'll see you next week.